Hello, world of the internet. My name is Simon Miller. It's Monday, and as you know, Monday, Fridays, some random days throughout the week, but always Mondays, we try and do a little bit of a vlog. Now, for this one, I went to the well. Not gonna lie, I went on my Twitter at SimonMiller316, and I just read through all the comments or the tweets that people have sent me about things they want me to talk about. And I need to get my phone open because I need information. And I basically totaled up I tallied it. And this is what everybody asked me. And without wanting to be a cheap plug here, I actually did talk about this once on my Patreon. There was a little thing for patrons, which is patreon.com/Simon316. If you would like to support me, it does help. That's how I support all the stuff that I'm doing right now, including my podcast that goes live on Wednesdays. But yeah, everybody asked me, Miller, do you have any weird tales or interesting encounters with wrestlers that you've met over the years? And I do. So I thought, okay, if this is what everybody wants to talk about, that's what we can talk about. So that's what we're going to do right now. So I do have a list right here, which is why I keep looking down at my phone, because I mean, I've been very lucky in the sense I've met a lot of wrestlers throughout my career, both through video games and obviously getting into wrestling itself. Like I said, I really do appreciate that. If you had told me that when I was a kid, I would have been over the moon. And really, the only two wrestlers that I've never met that I'd like to, it's always cool to meet a wrestler, but I mean, from a childhood perspective, would be The Undertaker, Triple H, and Vince McMahon. Although, cool segue, I once shared a lift with Vince McMahon. I went to SummerSlam 2013. Whichever the one was headlined by Daniel Bryan versus John Cena when Randy Orton turned. I think that was SummerSlam 2013. I'm usually good with that one. I'm clearly tired. But yeah, I went and we were staying in the same hotel that the wrestlers were, hilariously. And I got into a lift and all these dudes all of a sudden came in. Obviously, his like security or his team, whatever. And then in the middle was Vince McMahon. I was like, well, this is an interesting ride. And we'll use that to talk about another one as well. Because I went on that trip because it was a press trip for one of the WWE games. This is when I worked in video games, and what they used to do is they would take you out to an event and they'd show you the new game, and then you got to go to SummerSlam, and it was all a big shindig, as you can imagine. Then people on the internet went, "Oh, you must be corrupt for going on this trip," even though that, from my point of view anyway, that wasn't the case at all. Never happened. So I knew one of the guys that made the game quite well because I'd been working in video games for a while. I was a big WWE fan. They knew it, and he was a big wrestling fan too, obviously. And so we struck up conversation that way, as wrestling fans do. So I was coming back from the show that night. I won't say his name because that's not fair, but I walked past him and, "Oh, Simon, did you enjoy the show?" I said, "Yeah, it was great. Loved everything with Brock Lesnar and CM Punk." He goes, "Do you want to? I'm just going to meet Ric Flair. Do you want to hang out with him?" And I was like, I mean, yes, please. Now, I do have a picture of this, but I cannot find it. I've looked for it. So when I do discover it, I'll post it on my Twitter at Simon316. Or if I can find it in the random period between now and putting this up, I will make sure it's in the video as well. But it's on a hard drive or something somewhere. But yeah, so I spent the evening hanging out with Ric Flair. And he was very kind, he was very nice, everything you could imagine that he would be. And it was just, it was one of those moments where you sit there and you're like, I don't really know what's happening right now, but I'm certainly not upset that it has. And yeah, he did. He drank a lot of alcohol. He's Ric Flair, is what he does, right? If he hadn't have done that, I think I would have been disappointed. But it was a very surreal evening. And he was really, as you'd imagine, he was like the life of the party. I'm not saying he made himself that way. Maybe he did, I don't know. And also he's Ric Flair, which helps. But, everybody wanted to come talk to him and say hello. And I was just this strange guy in the corner. I didn't really say much, I'm not going to lie. This was before I became the weird ass guy I am now. And now I would have said a lot. But back then, that wasn't who I am. This is where I go to my list. So the other one is Randy Orton. Now, this is a funny story because, I mean, he probably wouldn't even remember this to this day. I don't think anybody would, even that they were there. Because, again, on a press trip, I went out to a wrestling thing. And because they wanted to get loads of interviews in all the press, as, like a press junket, they put a load of journalists in individual rooms and loads of people came in. I can't remember all of them, but I do remember, I'm not sure this was in one lot or not, but I'm 100% sure that, I think it was the same. It was Santina Marella, Matt Hardy, Beth Phoenix, and two other people who I can't remember. But the hilarious thing was, Santina Marella was there, like I say, and he came in and he just went, "Look, man," with lots of us. He goes, "Look, guys, I'm really tired. I'm just going to answer these questions as me. I'm not going to do the accent, and, we can just do it that way." I think his real name's Anthony Corella. And that was really surreal as well, because at that time, I'd only ever heard him talk in his accent. So I was like, okay, we're just, kayfabe, break that, who cares? But I liked it. It did make him more genuine, and it made the interviews a bit better too, because I think we kind of got to see a more real side of him. And you can actually go read those interviews. What issue it's in, I don't know, but it is in an X360 magazine from around about 2008. So if you happen to have that, you can watch it. But anyway, one of the main events, so to speak, was going to be Randy Orton. But as these things, cards subject to change, even with interviews, he wasn't going to be able to make it. And later on that night, I was looking for the toilet, and I clearly took a wrong turn. I got into this private area of this bar. And sitting in a sort of barriered off little bit was Randy Orton. So I thought, I'm going to go say hi to Randy Orton because I'm that, different to the other guy I just explained. I was like, even though I think it was before this was, anyway, it doesn't matter. I thought I'm just going to say hello. So I went up to him and said, hi, Randy. I just want to say, great meeting you, whatever. And he went, fuck off. And I loved it. It was the best Randy Orton experience I could have had because you'd heard all these rumors and rumblings online. I was like, that's perfect. I feel like I've now had the proper Randy Orton experience, like I say. And the ROE, I should say. And the other, on the same trip that was too, and this one was completely random. This wasn't planned. We flew into the airport, and because it was WrestleMania week, there was, this is when Impact or TNA at the time used to run shows. Everybody does that now, and TNA used to run shows around WrestleMania. And I saw Scott Steiner in Florida Airport. So I was like, well, I gotta say hi to Scott Steiner. So while he was waiting for his bag, I'm an idiot. I went out to him, I put my hand out again. I said, Scott, just want to say, I didn't say Scott, I would have said Mr. Steiner. I was always clever to be polite. I said, I just want to say, I've always been a big fan. And that was it. I didn't ask him to sign anything. I took up 3 seconds of his time. I've never asked a wrestler to sign anything. I've never asked for a selfie unless it's an environment where that would be fitting. I like to be as respectful. Also, that stuff, if you want to do it, that's cool, but that stuff doesn't mean anything to me, really. I like the memory. The memory is my favorite thing. And then as I was going down the escalator in the airport, I heard this. I was like, what the hell is that? And I looked up, and Scott Steiner had chased me to the top of the escalator, and he just watched me go down. And I was like this. To this day, I don't know what I did. He just got really mad at me, and I really have no clue. But I remember being terrified. I was like, if he comes down that escalator, I'm running. I'm getting out of here. So maybe he thought I was trying to wind him up. Maybe he thought I pickpocketed him. I have no idea. To this day, I don't know. I've told that story before. If you listen to the Laps Fan podcast, I sent that into them. And they read it out too, and they made it wonderfully funny. And I've got loads, but I wanted to sync it up to 5. And if anything pop in my head when I'm talking. But the last one I wanted to talk about, because the last one actually meant a lot to me. So I thought, well, I'll end with that one. Always end on a bang. When I was working the WCPW, obviously what Defiant is now, used to be WCPW, I used to do a lot of backstage stuff. And I wanted to help out. I enjoyed doing it. And one night when they'd hired Bret Hart, he needed to get home to his hotel and somebody had to take him. And I was like, I'll take him. So I got to share a ride with Bret Hart. It was a long time. It was like a good 30, 35 minutes. And as you'll know, if you're watching my What Culture stuff or over here on my own channel, Bret Hart is my favorite wrestler ever. He's the guy I started watching wrestling for. He's always a guy that I've been biased towards. Don't know why. Just have, I guess, because I got into him when I was a kid. So that was, not only was it awesome because I got to talk pro wrestling with him. He shared a lot about his current lifestyle, which was just fascinating to know just from a human being point of view. But, cherry on top that it's Bret Hart. And then somebody had also told him that I was training to be a wrestler. I don't know who that was. If I ever find out, I will thank them. And he asked me, and he said, are you training to be a wrestler? I did. And he just sat there for 5 minutes as we were getting to where his hotel was, and he just gave me a bunch of advice that was not only was I flattered that he even felt like he had to share anything with me. He could have just said, okay, cool. And I wouldn't have thought anything of it. But the fact that it was coming from him too, it was one of those moments where, you get quite inspired, you get quite motivated to carry on. Especially because Bret Hart, right? No matter what you think about all the, stuff that surrounds his career, to the day I'll die, I say that he's one of the best ever, or at least personally for me. Everyone's got their own opinions. And yeah, it was just amazing just to have a normal chat with him, like how did you find the show, blah, 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 what are you doing, to then talking about wrestling, the current state of the WWE, to finally him, saying, oh, you're trying to be a wrestler, how's it going? It was like, this is all right. I'm having a conversation. I'm training to be a wrestler anyway, which I was always proud of, because I do think, it doesn't even matter if it doesn't go anywhere, just to drag yourself out there, and like I say, put yourself in the eye of the tornado, I always think is cool. But then to have Bret Hart comment on it, no one can ever take that away from me. No one. And I won't lie, he was at the show the next night too, and I did ask for a picture with him, because I was like, this may never happen again. So I was a hypocrite, admittedly. And I do know where that picture is, so I'll make sure, unless I forget, which I always do, I'll make sure I put that up now. I'll save the rest, because I can probably do a part 2 of this. I mean, I've met the New Day. I've met Big Show. I'm name dropping here. I didn't mean it like that. It was supposed to be a tease for the next one, and I quickly realised that makes me a giant asshole, so we're not going to do that. Anyway, if you'd like to see the other one, leave a comment below. Like, share, subscribe. You know all of that. It is Monday, so I hope you enjoyed Survivor Series, and we'll check into Raw and SmackDown later in the week. That's it. My name's Simon Miller. Thank you for always watching. Who knew crazy vlogs could be so much fun? I'll see you soon.